This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor for this episode is Bringing Local Back. Remember when your community could turn to a local TV station or newspaper for the latest updates and affordable ads? Those days may be fading, but the need for local connection remains. That's why we created Bringing Local Back, a game-changing platform that restores local visibility and advertising power to your community. It's more than just tech. It's about driving engagement and creating new revenue for your chamber. Ready to see the future? Visit bringinglocalback.com to schedule your demo today. This is the future of local commerce. Our guest for this episode is Michelle Epling. Michelle is a dynamic leader and the 2024 Alabama Chamber Champion. As the president and CEO of the Madison Chamber of Commerce, Michelle has transformed the chamber by earning its first accreditation in its 31-year history. With a rich background in sales, business development, and entrepreneurship, Michelle combines her passion for community engagement with a focus on professional growth, having completed 3 years of the U.S. Chamber's IOM program. But Michelle, I'm excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the Chamber champions who are out there listening and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today, Brandon. It's an honor to be on this podcast. And again, I'm Michelle Epling. I'm the president of the Madison Chamber of Commerce in Madison, Alabama, which is very close to Huntsville, Alabama, for those that aren't familiar. And it's been my honor to be the president of the Madison Chamber for the last 3 years. Something interesting a lot of people don't know about me, I'll say there's two things. One, I have 9-year-old twins. They're identical twin girls, and their hobby is Irish dancing. So we actually go to Irish dance competitions, and they look like little river dancers. It's really quite fun. And then a family tidbit is we actually run a family pecan farm on the side. So we have Newberry Pecans that has over 1,500 pecan trees, the largest pecan orchard in North Alabama. So if you think your family is nuts, my family literally are sells nuts in our so we have a great time doing that. That's been a family business for about 10 years now, and it continues to grow and really helps keep me having the perspective of the struggles of what we go through as business owners, because we're right there on the front line as a family figuring it out step by step. So
yeah, definitely helpful in giving you that perspective. I'll say, so I'm in Texas and we don't have pecan farms, but we have pecan farms. So I think they're similar, but yeah.
Yes, I think they're a little similar. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't say pecan here in Alabama, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm originally from California, so it's pecan to me, but there's a lot of pecan people here. So anyway, well, tell us a little bit more about the Madison Chamber. Give us an idea of the size of the chamber, staff, scope of work, just things you guys are involved with to kind of set the stage for our discussion today.
Absolutely. So I started at the Madison Chamber 3 years ago, this month, actually, in November. We had about 259 members 3 years ago. They had not done any major events coming out of COVID. That was November of 2021. And really came into a chamber where the business owners were not happy with the chamber. They didn't like us. Most of the town didn't even know we existed. And really just stepped in from day one and always focused on how do we add value to our members. And by doing that, we have now grown to over 500 members. In the last 3 years, we've grown the budget more than tripled it. We're right about under a $500,000 budget as a chamber size. And we put on anywhere between 25 to 30 events a year on top of about 50 to 60 ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings a year, just due to the exponential growth in the city of Madison. We're the number one school district in the state of Alabama, number one city to live in the state of Alabama. And we just opened a Costco last week. So that was super exciting. We've also opened a BJ's Wholesale this year. So I like to say we run with scissors. Mom always says, don't run with scissors. We literally run with scissors each and every day. And the team works very hard behind the scenes just to keep up with the growth.
That's great. Yeah, I know there's chambers out there listening that are always a little jealous when they hear of a community that has that kind of exponential growth. I'm always curious, is there a certain industry or something happening specifically that's driving that growth?
So we are about 15 minutes next to Huntsville, Alabama, which was named by the U.S. World Reports last year as the number one city to live in the state of Alabama. We have a huge presence of Redstone Arsenal, the FBI. And so we also have a big diversity of businesses in our county, being in the Huntsville metro area. So we just are very fortunate in the community really, truly believing in regionalism and coming together. We always say a win for Huntsville, a win for Muscle Shoals, a win for Scottsboro or any other surrounding city, or Athens, Alabama, is a win for the whole region. And we truly all work together as chamber professionals to show that regionalism and work towards that regionalism together.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. I like the regional approach because it does make everybody better and raises all the ships as that tide rises. So
it does.
It's good. And hopefully the community is starting to recognize that the chamber exists, that the Madison Chamber is there. So keep making those positive impacts. But for our focus for our conversation today, we've titled this episode Reinventing the Rubber Chicken Dinner. And I think we can all relate. We've all been to these chamber dinners that were luncheons or whatever it may be, and the chamber chicken, right? So we're going to take a fresh approach to reinventing this and see the approach that Michelle's and her chamber's taken as soon as we get back from this quick break.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Rose.
And we're the founders of App My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started App My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
App My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with App My Community, our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at appmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Chamber leaders, I know each of you works daily to boost your local economy and take your Chamber of Commerce to the next level. But let's face it takes funding, and lots of it. You need to know Resource Development Group. For 3 decades, they have been the premier economic development fundraising consulting firm dedicated to helping chambers of commerce and economic development organizations like yours thrive across the United States. Their expert team specializes in crafting customized fundraising strategies that drive tangible results so you'll be able to fully implement your community advancement and economic development strategies. Imagine having a partner who strives to understand your community's unique needs, brings national best practices to bear, and has the proven experience to secure millions of dollars in funding. Resource Development Group has successfully guided countless chambers of commerce in creating vibrant, sustainable economies. With their comprehensive suite of services, from campaign planning and execution to investor engagement management to best practice studies, RDG takes the guesswork out of fundraising. You'll receive personalized support and innovative solutions that make a real impact. Don't just take my word for it. Chambers of Commerce and EDO executives nationwide have praised RDG for their dedication, professionalism, and impressive track record of raising over $2 billion for their clients. Ready to see what Resource Development Group can do for your chamber? Visit them at rdgfundraising.com to learn more. Elevate your community, strengthen your chamber, and unlock new possibilities with Resource Development Group by your side. They build organizations that build communities. All right, Michelle, we're back. As I mentioned before the break, we're reinventing the rubber chicken dinner today. So it should get everybody excited. We can toss that old menu, and but it's not just the menu, right? So talk to us about how you've approached this reinvention of what a traditional chamber dinner is.
Absolutely. Well, we have a saying in our office, if me and the team does not want to be at the event, why are we putting on this event? All right. So I think that also goes down to what you eat at the event as well. And, making the events in such a way that, does it have to be a plated served chicken dinner? Is there a different way we can go about doing a state of the city that is still fun and interesting and, bridges the community together, but doesn't have to just be in round tables? And so 3 years ago when I started, our city had just built a brand new minor league baseball stadium called the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
All right.
And they're really cool. They have the little mascot is out of a trash can looking like a rocket. I mean, everybody wears Trash Panda merchandise. And so within our city limits of the city of Madison, we actually don't have a venue space that can seat 500 people in round tables of 8. Like, it physically does not exist. We would have to go to Huntsville or Athens outside our city limits. And so with my mayor's encouragement, he said, let's relook at how we did the state of the city before COVID. You're the new chamber president. We have this beautiful new stadium. How can we reinvent this dinner? And so we actually, in partnership with the Rocket City Trash Pandas, open the gates at Toyota Field. We give out 500 free hot dogs, soda, and ice cream, and we invite the entire community to come to our state of the city. We line the concourse with a business showcase that's super popular, and we do a community state of the city on the field of our minor league baseball team. So it doesn't have to be a rubber chicken dinner for it to be an official state of the city. And I think we've proven that. We just did our 3rd annual state of the city this past year. It was super successful. Our members love it. The community loves coming out to it. We're going to even have a mayor showcase and city council showcase next year where they're going to be on the concourse meeting the constituents. And so it's just a fun way to highlight our community. We give out a Military Family of the Year award during that presentation. The mayor shows videos. Really just a neat way to reinvent that rubber chicken dinner. And then, thinking of the rubber chicken dinner, we also had our annual gala Monday night. And, at a gala, you give out the membership awards. We gave out Business Person of the Year, and then you give out Young Professional of the Year. And this is the first time in our 31-year history we've actually done an annual membership meeting that was a formal event, that was cocktail, long dresses, and giving out award after award after award. I mean, it's the same, right? It's someone's getting an award, right, and they're coming up on stage. And I went to the team and I said, I saw this thing a few years ago, this influencer did in Nashville, and she had these Santa elves come out and they carried a basket during the middle of one of her events, and everybody got a free whatever it is. I wonder if our business community could get behind this. So I made a few phone calls to our local downtown restaurant that's iconic, that's in the old city jail, that serves like the meat and three. I called Outback, I called Chicken Salad Chick, and some local retailers. And between the rubber chicken dinner the team came out and I had one on the podium for me and my chairman of the board, and we put on a blue, because our logo is blue, Santa hat, played Christmas music, and we distributed what we call Madison favorite things. And everybody loved it. So again, as you were planning these rubber chicken dinners, we serve steak, by the way, don't serve chicken, serve the steak, pay the extra money. People want to eat the steak, don't serve the chicken. And make it fun. Do you want to be there? Would you want to sit through this entire program? And if your team's answer is no, what are you doing to add value to your members at that event? And that's what we look at with every single thing we do at the chamber.
I love that. Man, I love the reinvention, thinking outside the box, these approaches that really drive engagement. I mean, I admit the thought comes to me, the business showcase in the concourse at the baseball field. Like if you just did your typical annual, state of the city in a conference hall, you're not going to necessarily have the space to do business showcase, but
Right.
you're supporting the businesses, giving them that space. They're interacting with people in the community. They're there. I mean, just the whole idea of it is much more effective, much more in line, I would even argue, with what a chamber is and should be focused on.
And we even tie some of those sponsorship levels to nonprofits. So we will say to someone that's willing to give us X amount of money, look, you could either have 2 tables on the concourse or you can donate them to 2 nonprofits. And they love that.
Yeah.
And how are you adding value to those sponsors with the money they're investing in your chamber? What's important to them? And to those sponsors, it's those nonprofits and those causes that they give a lot of time and money to. How can you then turn that sponsorship and giving it back to that member as well, and not just taking money from them for you to put on an event?
I love that. So help us. I think you've done a good job with the setup, with the state of the city and at the baseball stadium, just being able to see. I'm visualizing the displays of businesses in the concourse, get people seated with their hot dogs and ice cream. And normally in that setting, we're waiting for that first pitch to be thrown out. So is there a stage set up on the field, or are you utilizing the big screens? What's that look like?
We do have a podium on the field. They have a huge jumbotron at the baseball stadium that we use. And then they have the announcer, just like you'd be like, coming on home plate is so-and-so, baseball, whatever. And he announces, please direct your attention to the field. In 5 minutes, we'll be starting our program. And then at the time, he will say, please direct your attention. We always start with the trooping of the colors, because that always gets everyone's attention and that gets everyone to quiet down. And then after the trooping of the colors, we incorporate our schools and they sing the national anthem. That also gets everybody to kind of get in their seat and settle down. And so that kind of starts the program itself.
Gets butts in seats too when you involve the schools, and parents they're going to come and watch their kids sing, and that's awesome.
Yes. Absolutely. And then I would say another thing we do that's kind of unique to our chamber is, because we did not have a venue that could host like a business award, we call it Best in Business Awards 3 years ago, we ended up having to host it at the high school. Well, no one told me, Brandon, that I guess I never got in trouble in high school. I didn't know you couldn't serve alcohol in an auditorium at a high school. And it's against a federal law, even if the superintendent is your nobody tells me this, Brandon. Okay. And so I'm talking to the superintendent and I'm talking to him about, okay, we'll have our cocktail reception out here with the bar. And he's like, Michelle, you're legally not allowed to do that. And I'm like, well, what do you mean I'm not allowed to do that? And he's like, well, you're not allowed to serve alcohol in my auditorium. You can still host your Best in Business Awards, but there will be no alcohol served during this entire night. And so we had a bank come forward at the time and said, Michelle, let's host an after party at one of the local restaurants and bars. I'm good friends with this restaurant. We will sponsor it. We'll invite all the nominees. We'll give out drink tickets and serve some light desserts. But then, because I have both insurance licenses, from an insurance standpoint, I'm like, it's really not a good idea to let these hungry people leave an award show and go straight to drinking alcohol. That just seemed like a liability, Brandon, from my
Yeah.
perspective. So we got with the local restaurant and they made a charcuterie cup, like to go. So think of like a charcuterie platter, and
Yeah.
they put it in a cup. And my ambassadors handed them out as people were walking out the door headed to the bar. And I made a joke on the stage and said, "Enjoy your Madison car snacks on the way to the after party." Well, then a few months later, we were recognizing one of our elected officials was our former Speaker of the House, who is now our chairman of the county commission. We threw a welcome back party for him. We found out what his favorite snacks were, put them in a little lunch bag, gave them out to all those attendees, called him a Madison car snack. So much so that that's now a sponsorship item in my sponsorship guide. And it is the number
Awesome.
one requested thing. I had another chamber, the Athens chamber president, Monday morning at 7 a.m. said, "Do we have Madison car snacks at your annual gala tonight?" That's all I want to know. Again, how can you create these little traditions within your chamber that makes everyone feel part of it, but then it lets the celebration continue, even if it's just for the car ride home, to continue adding value to that event. And so, Madison Car Snacks, you ask any of our members, they can tell you exactly what it is.
What a great idea.
As a sponsorship, and everyone loves it. And so, again, how are you reinventing that rubber chicken dinner? Is what we look at every day.
Yeah, man, I love that. I love how it wasn't necessarily a plan to have your Madison car snacks, but it came out of maybe an oversight, we'll say, a necessity.
Yeah.
And then that kind of evolves to being a thing people look forward to, and it kind of rolls off your tongue. You want your car snacks, right? You got to.
And we put the members logo on it, and we have an actual logo that says Madison Car, and the snacks is like crunched out of it. I can email it to you and show you. And we put them in little clear bags or little lunch bags we buy at Party City. And then I get up on the stage of whatever event it is and say, "Brandon, the CEO of Chamber Chat Podcast, favorite snacks are Milano cookies and Skinny Pop. Enjoy them on your ride home." And everybody loves it. It's just such a fun way to, again, how are we adding value in what we're doing at these events?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm glad you learned about the no alcohol on the campus before the event. I
Yes,
mean,
I am too.
it's zero tolerance. I don't know what would have
There is
happened to you.
no,
Yeah,
there is no, that is not allowed. So
that's
thankfully we
right.
found that out several weeks before we put that event on. And thankfully we have members that stepped in to help solve that problem. So now we always do also have an after party at one of our local bars. So when we do Best in Business, we partner with a local bar, and we have the after parties. Again, how are you making this fun? And also, don't give speeches. That's the other thing. We do the award shows. We do not do any speeches on that stage.
That's much appreciated by everybody there.
That your great Aunt Nancy inspired you to start the
Yeah,
business. What we do instead is we have an announcer that has like the deep announcer voice, and he's there right next to my marketing director, and he will say, "Now please welcome to the stage Brandon, who has started this podcast X number of years ago and has won so many awards," and really highlights that person in a much more professional way than people can sometimes, if they're shocked, get up and say in front of the microphone. So we gave out 11 awards Monday night, plus recognizing our elected officials, and gave an annual report for about 7 to 10 minutes in less than an hour, according to our mayor, from start to finish.
yeah, that's good.
So again, how are you adding value?
Yeah, I like the announcer telling about the business as they're walking up, because otherwise you get applause, and by the time you're at the fourth, fifth person, everybody's like, "Okay, we're tired of clapping the whole walk up." So being able to utilize that time in an effective way and cut down in other areas is super helpful.
Mhm.
Well, I love this. I love the energy. I love the outside the box thinking. The creativity is wonderful. Um, as we shift gears a little bit, I wanted to ask you, on behalf of chambers listening who are looking to take their chamber up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item might you share with them to try to accomplish that goal?
Something one of my consultants taught me, two things really, is one, and I've said it several times, how are you adding value to your members? what are you doing that's setting yourself apart from all the other noise, whether it's the newsletter or the e-blast? How are you adding value? And then the second one is never make it hard for people to give you money. So Veronica Cram is one of my consultants that helps our chamber with Insight Strategic Solutions. And she always says to me, Michelle, do not make it hard for people to give you money. And so I can't tell you the number of times, especially, when I started, it was me and one other full-time employee. If I got an email from somebody and they said, Michelle, I'm trying to pay an invoice, I would stop what I was doing right then and there and get that payment immediately. And again, that drives the bottom line. And I'm a big believer that if you solve the income problem, all the other problems are a lot easier to fix.
Yeah.
So don't make it hard for people to give you money.
And those 2 points of how are you adding value to your members, but also not making it hard for people to give you money are great lessons for business owners to think about and implement as well. So there may be more there that could be taught and be programming there in its own to remove some barriers from people giving your members money and for your members to learn how to add value to their customers on every transaction.
Absolutely.
Michelle, as we look to the future of chambers of commerce, how do you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward?
I really see chambers as being the convener. When you think of a chamber, we are really in a unique position that can convene all the groups around the table as truly a neutral, unbiased third party. And so one of the things we've done at our chamber 3 years ago is we had the downtown businesses, we had Rotary, we had the Madison Street Festival, we had all these different, the school system, we had all these different entities all doing great things in our community. But then sometimes their events would overlap. Sometimes they would get upset that so-and-so is doing something and so-and-so is doing something. And we created the One Madison meeting, and we put the mayor with the chief of fire and police and all the festivals and all the organizations that really do those community events in our town, the Trash Panda baseball stadium, people. And we meet once a quarter, and every organization gets 5 minutes to give an update on what their organization is doing. And the amount of cross collaboration that has happened because we convened them together is immeasurable. I mean, the amount of initiatives that have come out of that meeting. And I think we need to continue to find ways to convene people together, whether it's convening them in person or being the convener on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, and being the one at the event going live, talking about what's happening in and around your community. We really have a unique voice in being that neutral, unbiased third party to really share the good news. And so we call it Celebrate Madison for our State of the City event. And we truly believe in celebrating our community. And I think chambers really could really make a big impact if they continue to find ways to celebrate their community, because you can go to any community and go to the What's Happening in ABC Town's Facebook page, and you would think that city is on fire and is the worst city in existence. How are you being louder on social media and in the groups you convene around the table to celebrate your city? And I think that's where chambers really have the future, is celebrating the communities they serve. And I think sometimes we forget that we have a unique opportunity to do that.
Yeah. I love that. When you talked about Facebook and the saying it was on fire, I was thinking the other way. You have people talking about all the good things, but it's really those communities online tend to be trash talking, right? Just really negative. So to be able to turn that and put it on its head and celebrate what your community has to offer and the good things going on and build upon that, there's so much value there. So. Well, Michelle, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who may want to reach out and connect with you and learn more about Madison Car Snacks or anything else. What would be the best way for them to reach out and connect?
Sure, they can email me at Michelle at Madison, AL, like Alabama, chamber.com. and I would be happy to have a conversation with them.
That's perfect. We'll get that in our show notes to make it nice and easy to find.
Okay.
But Michelle, this has been a fun conversation, energizing. Should give people some ideas of some new approaches that they can take to their annual banquets or awards night or any other, I'm going to say, old-fashioned traditional chamber event. Right? Let's reimagine some of these things and bring some new life to them. But
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing your example and experiences and building the excitement for the listeners to be able to bring that back home for themselves.
No problem. We love celebrating Madison, and thank you for having me on the podcast today. I appreciate it.
If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.